Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing some clips that I have on my computer that are just random, and I wanted to talk a little bit about leadership today. So I'm going to be pulling from a little bit of a talk I did earlier and just interjecting with little notes here and there. So enjoy. Hello everybody, welcome back. I've been thinking recently, like, what makes a leader good? Because I've been sort of a leader my whole life, but like I have no idea why. Like sometimes what I'm doing works, sometimes what I'm doing doesn't work, and I'm only getting better at it. So this is just some stuff that I ran across while doing some psychological research. So I've determined that good leadership can be split in about 3 or 4 ways, but one of the ways is the same. So that's why I say 3 or 4. The first is sacrifice and commitment. And I think sacrifice and commitment are the same thing, because when you're committed to something, it means that you and your actions benefit somebody else. When you sacrifice, it means you are willing to give up something of yourself. So that could be a piece of yourself, your time, your resources, in order to benefit another thing, another entity. Right? And that's exactly what it means to be committed to something. It's a demonstration of commitment to sacrifice. So that means producing your own work, giving up your time, giving up your money, giving up your resources in order to benefit something else. And this is important because if your leader doesn't show any willingness to sacrifice themselves for you, then why should you trust your leader? Like oftentimes in our culture we'll see this idea of a politician, right? They'll just go up there and they're moving their mouth, but you really can tell that this person is only up there for their own good. Like they might like be able to put words together in a certain way that makes it sound sort of smart, but we're a little bit smarter than you think. We watch these people and we go, we aren't really sure that you mean what you say. In other words, we aren't sure that you're actually committing. We're not sure that there's a sacrifice being made there. So sacrifice, commitment, that's what makes a good leader. But also speech and vision. Hello, post-editing Mason here. I realize that this next point I sort of get a little bit abstract with my example, but it is important. So I'm going to be talking about a god, and this god possesses certain qualities of a leader, and I think that are actually fundamentally true and important. So that's why I included it here. I just thought it was very interesting, and it helps sort of develop my argument a little bit more. So just to not distract you there. So hang in there, you're doing great. There is a Mesopotamian god. His name is Marduk. And Marduk had eyes around his head, and when he spoke in magic words. And Marduk is the Babylonian king of gods. So he's the leader of leaders. Okay, so this, in their culture, this is what defines the ultimate leader, is speech and vision. The ability to see things before anyone else sees them. That could be vision in front of you, or a metaphorical vision for the future. Be like, oh, I have an idea that I want to implement. Something like that. So you have to keep in mind that a lot of these gods that I've been studying are simply reflections of how early humans thought, okay? And imagine that you don't know what's out there, because that is the fundamental, I guess, human situation, is that, you have things that like your house, you know your house, but then there's things outside your house, metaphorically, that you don't know. So you must be willing to go outside your house and confront the unknown. And a true sign of a leader is that is someone who's willing to confront the unknown and bring it into what is known. So he sees something using his vision, and he converts that into speech, which he relays to the people that he is leading. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the problems with this game mode. And it's not the bugs necessarily, and it's not the administrators, but there's something in between. So if you're watching this, you're likely a player of the game. And what you're supposed to do is go on the forums and make suggestions. And then the Hypixel Player Council is supposed to listen to you and then build a document that sort of reflects that and then goes, is this okay? And the community goes, yes, no, maybe so. And then we move on from there. And then the admins implement it, right? That's how it would work in terms of a balancing decision. But we have two Hypixel Player Council members that are not good leaders. And I'll give you examples why. Firstly, I have a little bit of a story. So this is how the update document came into being, essentially. This document has been around for a while in another form, and it was just sitting on Darian's Google Drive for a while. But he needed someone that was able to point him in the right direction in terms of turning his ideas into a proposal. You know what I mean? It's converting. What I help Darian do is convert his ideas into action, which is something that I'm good at. I think I'm trying to become a better and better leader as things go on. So I was able to help him conceptualize his thoughts in a way that could be formed into an actual thing that could actually really happen in the game. And so Darian and I made this document. And I helped him with a couple of balancing things, but it was mostly formatting, getting his ideas in the right place, in the right section, using the right words to describe the right things. And we submitted that to HPC Mason. And what he did with that document, he didn't make a forum thread on it or anything. He went to the Google Drive file and he copied it and he made a new one so he could take credit for it. And he put our credit, that was about 2 pages of contextual explanation, and condensed it into one line crediting DuckDuckDog and MajesticWalrus. And you can still find that in his forum signature. Now, I don't get too upset about personal wrongs that people do to me because I know that I'm strong enough to be able to handle those. But what I find especially upsetting is that is not what a leader should do. That is not the behavior of someone who should be in charge. I'll give you another example. There's been a bug out for a while, and I was able to dissect it fairly quickly with Connor. We realized that here's the bug. And I'll try to quickly explain it from the very beginning. Essentially, there was a bug on Riverside where you could just spawn in one of the spawn points and walk out. So they hotfixed that. They posted it, and that was fine. They actually fixed that bug. But then 3 other bugs came out of it. So the first one is the stasis bug. And stasis implements the same method that they use to keep players from moving around before the game, if that makes any sense. But not only that, they also make you ride on an entity. So if you notice when you're stasis, you're sort of like sitting down, like you're riding on a horse or you're riding on a different mob, so that your Y coordinate is lowered by 1 block, so that when you come out of stasis, you are actually placed 1 block lower. Okay? And however they change that is not up to me. It's not really even up to HPC. That is genuinely the admin's fault, or whoever, whether it was a group of people who did it, I doubt it. It probably was just one dude. The second and third bug are directly related. So since they changed whatever spawning mechanism for Riverside, that made the spawns unable to be found on City and Pixelville, so that people literally couldn't be teleported to their spawns. So they actually have it in their exception handling so that the game is canceled. That's why you can't actually play those maps right now. And this goes into a little bit of game development theory, but it's essentially this. You have certain events in your game. Some events will never interact with other events, but oftentimes these events are dependent on one another. A simple and basic bug fixing rule is to test any dependent events around that, which would firstly be stasis. What that demonstrates is that the admins coding this game don't care at all, okay? Because if you care about a program, you'll bug fix every different way that something could go wrong. But instead, they didn't, and they implemented that anyway. So, okay, that's one problem. That's on the admins. So earlier I mentioned the Hypixel Player Council, and HPC Mason and Serpent Predator are really the 2 people that I have a bone to pick with because they are showing bad leadership. We can start with Serpent Predator. I mean, this guy has been trying to ruin the game with terrible balance changes for such a long time, just adding kit after kit after kit with all this dumb shit in it. And just uncreative spam, really. And he's been tanking the game for a while. But that's not really my main gripe. Because that's someone who is truly incompetent. And everybody knows this. Everybody knows that Sir Hunt Predator is probably not the right man for the job, which is probably why he just straight up quit. He's not even participating in this next update. I don't even know if he knows about it. I don't even know if Sir Hunt Predator even knows about the stasis bug or the city bug or the Pixelville bug, you know? And that's someone who's supposed to be representing us. But there's another guy who does know about these issues, and that's HBC Mason. Earlier I mentioned sacrifice, and I'm not using that as evidence, but I'm using it as an analysis of this person's character and behavior as a leader. This is a bug that's been in the game for about a month now. And if you're unwilling to lose your HPC rank by spamming admins about it, then you don't deserve the role. If you have a leader that is unwilling to sacrifice himself just to do his job, then you shouldn't have the job. You should get out and let someone more competent, Darian probably, take over that position for you. If I was in his position, that's exactly what I would do. I would not let the admins hear the end of it. You know, I would put myself on the line to be disliked by my superiors if it was in my job description to help the game be a better game. But instead, this dude's made like one post on the forums about a map that some people made, which the map is cool, but there's a little bit more of a pressing issue right now if you're HPC. Instead of adding more shit to the game, why don't you fix the game itself? Or at least show that you're making an effort. Demonstrate that you're doing something, you know? It not only displays the incompetence of the person who is the leader, it also displays the negligence, the unwillingness to sacrifice yourself for the people you lead. And I'll tell you why, if you're an HPC member, you are a leader. Earlier I talked a little bit about how a leader uses his speech and vision to convert the unknown into the known. If you're a Blitz player, there's no chance in hell that you know how all this stuff in the game works. There's no way. You just can't. You're playing the game. You're getting good at the game. You don't have time to know what's really going on in front of you in terms of lines of code, because that's not your job. Inversely, an admin's job is not to know what exactly every strategy it is that they need to know to win the game, because their jobs aren't to win the game. They're to program it so that it comes out the way that everybody wanted it with no errors or bugs. So you need a mediator between those two. And from that, somehow we've ended up with two representatives or leaders from the Blitz community to be the mediators between what we do not know in the code from what we know in terms of how we want this game to be. So they are the leaders. We're looking at HPC Mason. We're looking at Sir Hunt Predator. And what are they doing about this bug? What's happened? Has this guy said anything publicly? It's embarrassing. And I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear a long defense about how, you know, if he annoys him, he'll get demoted. Good. That's what you should do as a leader. You should be willing to sacrifice your position, your authority, for the good of the group. You know, honestly, what would be in my best interest is if this game continued on this path and just died. Because it will. That's what happens. You know, like the game is fundamentally good and fun to play at its core, which is great. But it doesn't even work. It's slowly breaking. I mean, do you guys not realize this? That if bugs go unfixed, there's only going to be more bugs. There's only going to be more exploits. And the game, as we all see it now, is just slowly falling apart. And where are your leaders? Where are the people who are supposed to be looking out for your gameplay experience? Especially when everybody's trapped inside with coronavirus. I mean, come on, you guys deserve some representation. And that would be great for me. I mean, hell, I'm making my own game. I should want this to die. But I know it's the right thing to do, is to point this out to you guys, because you're being tricked. Think about it this way. If this problem happened in like Sky Wars or any Sky anything on this server, you know how fast that shit would be fixed? A day, tops. It's been a month. And the only people that care about it are the players. We have useless representatives who can't even manage bugs, much less make their own balance proposals. I mean, They don't do anything. They don't deserve this rank at all. The guy barely talks. When's the last time you seen Sir Hunt Predator or HPC Mason in a game? I mean, they're not mediators at all. They're just camping a rank. And all that I can really do is just tell you that on my game, on my server, things are not going to be that way. I want to be able to listen to the community and give them feedback directly. And we're going to have representatives that we pick that will actually interact with you, that will actually engage, that will actually make the game better and more playable. Because I'm sure our game will have a major issue that we won't see, you know? But we want to be willing and able to react to that as quickly as possible. Alright, post-editing Mason here again. I wanted to apologize if the video got a little bit too heated, but I feel like that's sort of necessary. So when you assume a position of power, you also have a responsibility. I mean, it's one of the most classic cliches or tropes or whatever you'd like to say in our culture. And it's important, and it's true. That's why it's said. That's why cliches are cliches, is because they're true. And you can't have power without responsibility. And these leaders, these people in HPC, volunteered to have power, so therefore they have responsibility. And also, if you're in a position of power, if you are a leader, you open yourself up to the opportunity of criticism. And that's simply what this is. It's not a personal attack. It's not a, it's not a message of hate or to like send a SWAT team to this guy's house. Like, it's nothing even like that. It's not even any name calling. It's literally just an incompetent leader at doing his work, and sometimes that's how life goes. Blitz isn't going to get saved. Update's probably not going to happen. But, play Noctas when it comes out. That's all I got to say. On that note, don't start a flame war in the comment section or anything. I mean, you can. Like, a genuine argument, sure, but not a flame war, please. No name calling. Nothing like that. Thank you. Goodbye.